So today's video is the how to save for dummies video that I have been talking about for like ages now. So first up, there's two parts to this video. The first part is going to be me sitting here talking to you guys. The second part is us going to actually see somebody who manages all my finances and has really sweetly agreed to speak to you guys and answer your questions. So I initially thought that this would be him answering your questions because I'm not that great with like financial knowledge and things like that. But then when I saw your questions, there were a lot of normal questions on like where to work, how to like save and shop and things like that, which I don't think he'll be able to help you with. So I have some pointers and tips on how to save, which I'm going to share with you first, and then we're going to go see him. Okay, since there were like a zillion shopping and saving related questions, the first tip is going to be about shopping. You need to shop smart. Now, how does one shop smart? So I'm a big sales shopper. I love to shop during the sales. You get some great stuff at great deals. Like nowadays, you actually have sales that are like 70% off, 80% off. Like I bought my watch 90% off, guys. Like I don't know if you guys remember this haul, but it was 90% off. The next thing is shop at places where you can get more stuff. I love street shopping. So like Sarojini Nagar, Hill Road, Fashion Street, or wherever you are, every kind of area has its own street shopping spaces, and you can get far more there than you could get in a branded store. So in Sarojini, for example, I usually go with like say 2,000-3,000 rupees, and I end up with like at least 10 to 15 items, and in a branded store for the same price I'd get maybe one or two. The other thing to do is prioritize. Now usually whenever I want to make any big purchases, I list them down. So I need a gold pair of shoes. This is just examples that I'm going to give you. I need a gold pair of shoes, I need a pair of jeans, and I need a cool handbag. What do I need the most? The gold heels are probably wear to like weddings and formal events, so that's like the least important. Handbag I will use every day, which is the most important. Jeans I will wear often, so yeah, so it would be in that order. So purchase things according to the importance that they have in your life and the amount of times that you're going to use them. Number one. Tip number two, do not carry cash. Now I know how you guys are going to be like, how can you not survive with cash and stuff? But I always find that whenever I have money in my wallet, like actual cash, I end up spending it on like stupid stuff, or like even just going to the like grocery store or the food store, and you just buy stuff that you don't really need. Whereas if I don't have the money, even though I have my cards, I don't end up buying stuff just for the sake of buying. Tip number three, know your expenses. So if you're someone who's running a house, if you're someone who's a student abroad, you've got like your bills to pay, you've got your food to get and all of that, break it all down. So I know how much I spend in my current living situation, where I say, okay, I have to pay this bill, that bill, this bill, and usually the bills come up to about this much. And I make about this much in a month, so there's this much to save, this much to spend. You kind of get the idea. The other thing that really helps is going through a list of all your expenses every month. So I go through all my bank statements, my credit card statements, all of that, and I have to list out everything as business or personal and things like that for my accounting purposes. But that kind of really gives me an idea on how much I spend, how much I should be spending, and I know, okay, this month I've spent a little more than my usual, next month I've got to control it a bit. So don't just spend and forget about it. List your purchases, go through statements, and understand what you spend on an average every month. Tip number 4, do not leave your money in the bank. Do not leave your money in the bank. And Anandveer will help you with this and expand on this. Initially, I used to be one of those who used to say, okay, I have these many thousands or lakhs and I should just leave it in my bank. What if I need it? What if I don't? If it's in the bank, you end up spending it in your account. So I choose to kind of invest my money. My bank account has the bare minimum that I need to survive on, for like say 3 or 4 months and an emergency situation. The rest all goes into investment. So as soon as I get a big check or something that I know is over and above the amount in my bank account, I call them and I'm like, okay, I need to invest this. Okay, the next one is for all you foodies. Since so many people said food is really expensive, it is expensive, and like Vaibhav and me are complete foodies. So what we do is we limit the really fancy places to like special occasions only, and otherwise we end up eating out maybe once a week. So usually on the weekend we go out once a week. I think that's better than going out 3 or 4 times a week to like fast food places. Like I'd rather go out once a week but to a better restaurant and enjoy my meal. It's also healthier, it's also easier on the pocket. So yeah, limit your going out for sure. Enjoy your food maybe once a week That's like your cheat day or whatever. Okay, the next tip is for all the people that don't earn and don't have a job at the moment. So either you're a student, you're a housewife, you're looking for something part-time. I remember in the Being Independent video as well, there are a lot of comments of people saying, okay, you started modeling at 16, but everybody can't be a model. What else can we do at 16? Well, I actually started earning way before that. I used to actually earn when I was in school. Okay, so I started a jewelry business. I used to love making like necklaces with beads and things like that. And I actually used to hand make necklaces, and I used to sell them to vendors who used to sell them for me. And I used to make like a little bit of pocket money from that. So you've got to kind of find different ways to make money. There's tons of different ways. So I've done a lot of small odd jobs earlier in life where I've made money. This was one of them where I used to do like DIY jewelry and sell it. I actually worked for one of those companies. So when you see subtitles in your movies or on TV, I actually worked for a company that does that. So I used to do that from home, where you sit and you kind of type subtitles into, like, you have to make the whole like draft of subtitles. So you watch hours and hours of stuff and you make subtitles and you send it to the company, and then they merge the two. And with my blog, with Fashionalize, I used to have regular sales. So I used to actually import stuff like jewelry and things like that. I used to have sales online to make extra cash and things like that when my blog had just started out. So yeah, you've got to kind of find ways to make money if you want to work from home. There's always alternatives. You know, do your research. There's a lot of part-time jobs available. You just got to find the right one and give it some time, and that'll give you some extra cash to play around with. Okay, now the last tip is learn the basics of banking and finance. Okay, so do not be like oblivious to everything and be like, I don't know, my dad invests my money, or my husband invests my money, or I have a bank account but I don't operate it. Learn how to operate your account, learn how to write a check, you know, kind of go through your accounts. All that really helps, like, know your finances. Okay, so that's it from me. Let's go see Anand Veer. Guys, I've got Anand Veer with me, who is going to answer all your questions. He's very sweetly taken time off during his workday and agreed to do this.
Yeah.
Now, a little background about Anand. I've known him for years now, or 10 years easily. And like, I can blindly trust him with all my money. And I started with saving, what, 2,000 rupees a month. That's what I started with, yeah. So yeah, any advice you want to give them to start off with? They're complete beginners or people who are just starting out in life and they want to save.
I think just start early like you did. Start by opening a bank account, get a PAN card, and just force yourself to save basically through SIP.
Yeah, like my biggest thing was like, get the money out of your bank account. That's basically what I said earlier in the video, because I feel like if it's in my account, I'm more likely to spend it.
Yeah, so there's so many different places you can put it away, where it's out of your bank account yet within your reach.
Okay, so I'm going to start with some of the questions. The first question we have, which is a lot of people have asked this, what is the best way to save?
So the best way for a beginner is a systematic investment plan, which is an SIP, and basically you're doing that into a mutual fund.
Right.
And it's a forced saving every month. So you can start right from 500.
This is what I started with, the 2,000 rupees. Yeah. And you can do it as low as 500.
500 rupees. So you start by putting away 500
But does that really help is what people are going to say? Because I know a lot of people say, oh, what is saving 500 rupees a month? Like, how is that going to help? Or how much would it grow to? Like, that
so there are 2-3 places you can do. One is to cut away the impulsive buying. You know, now we live in an online world where you go to Amazon and you're buying. But if you even put it in a liquid fund, it's out of your bank but yet within your
accessible.
Reach. So it cuts out that impulsive buying. The second one is like an equity fund where you actually get good growth, so your money can grow. And the third one is like a ELSS fund, you know, which helps you save tax also. And then there are various other funds. So,
but to start out, this would probably be the
I would say if you're investing for the first time, start with a liquid fund. Let's assume the salary is 20,000. So I like to work backwards. First, see what your expenses are. Let's say your expenses are 15 or 16,000. That means you have 4,000 that you can put aside. Now I'm a little conservative, so I would say out of the 4,000, put half in a liquid fund, which you can get to at any time. For the remaining, you can now, to save tax, you can do like an ELSS equity fund. That's called an equity linked savings scheme.
Right.
It's basically
So it's like a monthly thing, the same.
yeah, you can do an SIP in it, or you can put a big amount in it.
chance, right. You always told me keep some money flexible.
Yeah,
like
so that's
always
the liquid money.
never put it all into one thing where you can't access it.
Yeah.
So keep some that you want to save long term and some which is accessible.
Always keep a little liquidity. You don't want your investments to be a drain on you, saying shit, I've put away so much money, now I need to pull it out, because the worst part of the investment is breaking it too early.
Right.
So start off a little smaller like you did, and see where you are.
So just be sure of what you're putting in. Like you should be able to put that aside
every month.
Yeah. So we have someone asking about recurring deposits and are they a good option? What is a recurring deposit?
So recurring deposit is exactly like an SIP.
Okay.
But it's in a fixed deposit.
Okay.
So you're doing a fixed deposit every month.
Right.
The negative to the fixed deposit or the RD is basically you pay tax on it.
Right.
If you do the same thing in a debt mutual fund or in an equity mutual fund, it becomes a little more tax efficient.
Right. This one is interesting. Where can we start saving and investing?
So there's so many places.
So I guess I understand the feeling because I was in a situation like this, and because I personally know you, it's easier for me to trust you and say, okay, what do I do with this?
Right.
So how does a person who has no contacts, I guess, in this financial space, like how do you find someone, or what are the things that you need to look out for?
So I think it's like finding a good doctor, or a lawyer.
Yeah.
You ask someone in your family or someone you can trust. Who they use, if they have any preferred suggestions. And see, investments is a very personal thing. You might tell me something, but actually your requirements might be something else.
Right.
So for someone to really understand you, they should have a little bit of
a background of you.
Where you're coming from, what you do. So I think the best way to start is ask maybe your dad, your uncle, your mom, your sisters, whoever's investing and is investing well. Ask them who they use and maybe.
Then we have someone who says, at what age should one start saving money?
So I think I was reading an article yesterday, and Warren Buffett had $1 million by the time he was 27 selling newspapers. And Warren Buffett says the best time to start investing was yesterday. And if you didn't do it yesterday, do it today.
Right.
So I think the earlier you start, the less you act, it's less of a burden on you.
Yeah, and I think it really, really makes a difference. Like, I keep wishing that I had started earlier. Even though I didn't start that late in life. But like as I said, when I was modeling, I made a ton of money and I blew it all up, and I don't even know on what.
Yeah.
Like now when I think about it, I used to be like, oh, money comes and goes, so it's not a big deal.
No, but the discipline has to be.
Now when I think about it, I'm like, why did I do all of that? So any age, I guess if you're even in college or university, if you can start, then you just should. Yeah,
I think even if you're not earning, if you can ask your mom or dad for $500 a month.
Yeah, in fact, when I started my SIP, I paid one for my parents as a gift and one for myself, and that's still on. Like it's been I think 5 years now.
Yeah.
So just start. How to invest in shares or mutual funds to earn money long term, and is it a good option?
See, it's a very good option if your long term is actually long term. Some people come and say, oh, I have a lot of money, long term. And I'm like, okay, what is long term? And they're like, 6 months. I'm like, no, it's not happening. So long term in equity, or the right term in equity, is about 5 to 7 years.
Right.
So I think if you're buying shares, buy.
Also, isn't shares like a bit of like you need some kind of knowledge?
So shares gets a little more risky. A mutual fund, you have a manager managing it for you. Share, usually what I would suggest to someone who's obviously at a much advanced stage of investing is find 5 or 10 companies which will be there 10 to 15 years later. Buy their shares. Again, you can do that in an SIP where you're buying a small amount of their shares every month because prices go up and down.
Mutual funds is a safer option.
I would say definitely.
Than shares.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you were to tell them 2 best options for short term and one for long term, what would it be?
So let me define long and short term. Long term is 5 years.
Right.
And I would suggest SIP in an equity fund.
Right.
Short term could mean anything from 0 to 5 years. And there again, you know, the range, if you just have money for a few months, a liquid fund, if you can hold it for 2-3 years, then a debt fund. So short term is always liquid and debt, and long term preferably is equity, give or take a few years in your time horizon.
Okay, how guaranteed are guaranteed wealth protection schemes that banks offer?
See, now there are different guarantees. If it's guaranteed by the government of India, then it's guaranteed by the government.
Right.
But if it's guaranteed by Anandveer Singh or Sherry or someone, then that level of guarantee you have to take a call on. Of course, if it's
guaranteed by me, I wouldn't trust.
I would trust it, but I mean, you've got to see who the guarantor is.
Right.
And
So
then
do a
take
little
call.
research and then take a call.
A lot of research.
A lot of research.
Yeah, you've got to do a lot of research.
What about Mediclaim and insurance and things like that? Like, how does that work?
Mediclaim, of course, is very, very important. If you go onto the internet,
There's
you'll
like
find
tons and tons and tons.
tons.
Yeah.
So you again got to go with someone who you know will provide
trust,
service.
yeah.
You know. So as soon as you get admitted into the hospital, you need to show your Mediclaim. So you want a guy who's easily approachable to you. Who, when you go to the hospital, you just call them and say,
this is
"Listen,
the
this is the
situation."
situation." In terms of insurance, there are many, again, different kinds of options. But I would say the best insurance to start with is something called a term insurance, which is basically like your car insurance. It's the cheapest form of insurance, and you pay every year. And if something happens to you, your family gets that sum
Whatever's
assured.
accumulated.
And if nothing happens to you, your money is gone. Now, many people are not okay with the idea of money
What
going.
is the money? Yeah.
But I keep telling them, I mean, you don't even know what you pay for your car insurance. And you're not hoping every day that I have an accident to get my insurance claim, you know?
Yeah.
So, if you can spend that much on your car, you can definitely
spend on
that on
yourself or your
yourself.
family. Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much for doing
Thanks,
this.
Sherry.
And
Thank
I'm
you so
going to
much.
put his details in the description. Whatever
Okay.
you give me, an
Lovely.
email address, number. If any of you are interested, you can get in touch with him directly.
Yeah, sure.
And thank you so much for doing this
Thanks,
and helping
Sherry.
them and helping
Not at
me.
all. Thank you.
And hopefully this will help you guys. If the video helps you, give it a thumbs up and start saving really soon. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.